No need to tell you that the Audi R8 is fast. It would still look like a fast car, even if it were powered by a lawnmower engine. But at the other end of the spectrum, there's a whole group of cars that conceal brutally powerful drivetrains under the body of a mundane family transport vehicle. From Americans to Europeans, passing through the Japanese, we take a look at some of the best sleepers ever created. Chevrolet SS. The 2014 Chevy SS was the American version of the Australian sedan Holden Commodore VF. In terms of size, it positioned itself between the Impala and the Malibu in Chevrolet's model lineup, and filled the void left by the discontinued Pontiac G8. While it looked like an ordinary four-door Chevy sedan, beneath its subtle styling was a high-performance car powered by the 6.2-liter LS3 V8. Sure, it had Brembo brakes hinting at the beast under its hood, but anyone could easily mistake it for an oversized Chevy Malibu or any typical American sedan. The Corvette C6-derived engine delivered 415 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque to the rear wheels through a 6-speed automatic transmission that could be manually shifted. The Chevy SS could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds, complete the quarter mile in 12.9 seconds, and reach a limited top speed of 160 miles per hour. Undoubtedly, a true sleeper. Sunbeam Tiger. Directly competing with the MGB, the Sunbeam Alpine's smaller engine was a 1.6-liter unit with 89 horsepower. To make the Alpine more appealing to American buyers, Carroll Shelby was asked to spice things up a bit. His solution was to replace the four-cylinder with a 4.2-liter Ford V8. The result was the Sunbeam Tiger, of which more than 7,000 units were built between 1964 and 1967. Mercedes-Benz 300S EL 6.3. Created by the Maverick engineer Eric Waxenberger, the Mercedes-Benz 600S EL 6.3 was born when he ingeniously shoehorned a 6.3-liter V8 from a 600 sedan into the front end of a 300 SEL. The result was a luxury limousine that could reach 137 miles per hour and accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 6.6 seconds. Deeply impressive figures for a car the size of a not-so-small bungalow. Surprisingly, 6,525 units were produced between 1968 and 1972. Rover 75 V8. The Rover V8 is one of the most admired engines of the last half-century, but towards the end of the company's life, it was better known for producing affordable family cars with four-cylinder engines. However, a handful of units of the Rover 75 and the MG ZT received V8 power, using the 4.6-liter Ford V8 with 4 camshafts to great effect. In its naturally aspirated form, it delivered 256 horsepower, but a supercharged edition with 375 horsepower was developed for the ZT, unfortunately not making it into production. By the way, the wagon version of the 75 V8, called Tourer, is not only a complete sleeper, but also a unicorn. Only 17 were produced. Volkswagen Passat W8. For decades, Volkswagen executives argued for positioning the Passat as a comfortable and family-oriented model, rather than a sports car. In particular, they rejected the engineering request to manufacture a GTI model in 1977. The decision-makers changed their minds in 2001 when, under the direction of Ferdinand Piëch, they introduced a 4-liter W8 engine with 271 horsepower into the front of the car. The humble Passat now took a mere 6.8 seconds to reach 60 miles per hour from a standstill, a time more commonly associated with low-displacement sports cars, and it benefited from Volkswagen's 4-motion all-wheel drive system. Even better, in many markets it came standard with a 6-speed manual transmission. Model-specific wheels, a small emblem at the rear, and the subdued growl of the 8-cylinder engine from the quad exhaust tips distinguished it from less powerful variants. Volkswagen produced the Passat W8 from 2001 to 2004. Subaru Legacy 3.0 R Spec B. Subaru boasts an extensive catalog of models that seemingly defy the laws of physics. Some are more discreet than others, but the Legacy 3.0 R Spec B is undoubtedly one of the stealthiest. Although not more powerful than a regular 3.0R, 245 horsepower, the Spec B features special Bilstein suspension and a manual gearbox with ratios designed to enhance acceleration, It can go from 0 to 60 in just 6.5 seconds. Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9. Mercedes-Benz had planned to unveil the successor to the 6.3 at the Geneva Motor Show in 1973, but delayed the launch to 1975 due to the oil crisis. Most buyers said the wait was worth it. The 450 SEL 6.9 was based on a long-wheelbase W116 chassis and received a larger Evolution 6.8 liters of its predecessor's V8 engine, tuned to deliver 286 horsepower under the driver's right foot. Brochures of the time cited a 0 to 60 time of 7.4 seconds. Quite astonishing considering it weighed 4,376 pounds and a top speed of 147 miles per hour. BMW M5 E28. Many people assume that this was the first sleeper, although it wasn't. But it did set a template for the super-fast mid-size sedan that combines relative affordability with everyday usability. Just look at it. You would never think that the E28 housed the same 282 horsepower inline-six engine as the mid-engine supercar M1, right? And unlike later M5s, this first one barely had any visual changes from the lower models. Lancia Thema 832. It's here simply because it's an anonymous-looking sedan with a Ferrari V8 stuffed under the hood. As such, it's a bit crazy, but it's not actually significantly faster than a Thema Turbo with its enhanced 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. While the 832 could do 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds and reach a top speed of 140 miles per hour, the Turbo, which cost only half as much, did 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds and hit 143 miles per hour. As you can see, both deserved a spot on this list, but we chose the more exotic one, thanks to Ferrari. Volvo 850 T5R. Volvo showed its wild side when it created the 850 T5R. Drawing lessons from the British Touring Car Championship and enlisting Porsche's input when necessary, they increased the power of the turbocharged 5-cylinder engine to 243 horsepower when a temporary overboost function was activated. Contemporary road tests suggest a 0 to 60 acceleration time between 5.8 and 6 seconds, but its top speed was limited to 153 miles per hour. Mercedes-Benz 500e. It took a well-trained eye to distinguish the Mercedes-Benz 500e W124 from its cheaper and less powerful siblings. It received a specific front bumper for the drivetrain, widened wheel arches, and, of course, a 500e emblem on its rear. Enthusiasts knew what they were seeing, but everyday motorists assumed it was a middle-of-the-road Mercedes-Benz with taxi specifications and a blown suspension. It required pushing the front wheels outward to accommodate a borrowed 5-liter V8 from the SL. And as the 500e was wider than the standard W124, it didn't fit on Mercedes' production line. So it was assembled by Porsche, albeit quite slowly. Each 500e took 18 days to complete. The V8 delivered 321 horsepower to the rear wheels, giving the 500e a 0 to 60 time of 6.1 seconds. Mercedes sold the 500e between 1990 and 1995 and sent the majority of the production run, 1,528 units, to the United States. Always somewhat in the shadow of the BMW M5, the 500e remains one of the most intriguing Mercedes-Benz models of the modern era. Volvo S80 V8. Few luxury cars appear more unassuming than the S80. Most of these large sedans were powered by 2-liter diesel engines or small 2 and 2.5-liter engines, with and without turbo. However, it was also available with a silky 311 horsepower Yamaha V8 that sent its power to all 4 wheels. The V8-powered cars look no different from those with much more humble engines, and only the small V8 badge gives them away. Infiniti Q50 Hybrid. While its appearance may have been sleek, by American standards of course, the Infiniti Q50 ultimately remained practically invisible. However, those who opted for the hybrid edition had a true wolf in sheep's clothing thanks to a 3.5-liter V6 with 302 horsepower backed by an electric motor to provide a maximum power of 359 horsepower. That was enough to do 0 to 60 in just 5.1 seconds, making it a shame that the Q50 was so unresponsive to drive. Shelby Dodge Omni GLHS. There wasn't anything particularly exciting about the Dodge Omni, a small utility car rooted in Chrysler's European division. Yet, Shelby managed to turn it into one of the best American hot hatchbacks of all time. The turbocharged 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine was tuned to 175 horsepower, enough for a sprint of 7 seconds to 60 miles per hour, and suspension modifications significantly improved its handling. It was a high-performing car, outpacing the Volkswagen GTI, and lived up to its name, goes like hell s'more. Shelby produced 500 units of the GLHS, making it even rarer than the GLH it is based on. However, it is still an Omni, and few would suspect it is capable of keeping up with a current Fiat 500 Abarth. Ford Taurus SHO. The original Ford Taurus, introduced for the 1986 model year, quickly became a common sight on American roads, highways, and parking lots. Its ubiquity helped the super high output model, SHO, launched for 1989 to conceal its performance credentials. The unassuming body kit hinted at the presence of a 3-liter V6 built by Yamaha, mated to a 5-speed manual transmission. Putting 220 horsepower through the front wheels of a Taurus gave it a 0 to 60 time of 6.6 seconds. Mercury Marauder. The third-generation Mercury Marauder was based on the body-on-frame Grand Marquis, and that alone was enough to dispel any suspicions about its performance. How could the favorite sedan of American retirees appeal to enthusiasts? The trick seems to have been a stiffer suspension and a 302 horsepower V8 from the Ford Mustang Mach-1. Mercury redesigned the bumpers, tinted the lights, and added 18-inch wheels to achieve a subtle yet assertive look. They sold 11,052 units of the Marauder during the 2003 and 2004 model years. This is just a selection of my favorite sleepers, but which ones did I leave out? What other wolf in sheep's clothing cars should I include? I'll read your comments.